Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Board of Today's show. It's presented by Manscaped. I know John Borelli uses Manscaped. He's a member of Mount Raider More. My question to you out there is this. Do you use Manscaped? You can if you go to the link that you see below. Go to manscaped.com. Use code Raiders for 20% off and free shipping. Coming up on today's show, are the Las Vegas Raiders waiting on a Saquon Barkley deal before negotiating a deal with Josh Jacobs? I had the opportunity this week to sit down with an insider from the New York Giants. For those that don't know, my ties. I used to work at MetLife Stadium to pay my way through college. Had the opportunity to sit down with somebody that has some sources with the Giants, and they gave me some pretty interesting information around Barkley that will impact Josh Jacobs. And I'm going to give you all of that information on today's show. So let's talk about Josh Jacobs here real quick. Who budges first? Because that's the big-time conversation. Both of these running backs were hit with the franchise tag. Both of these running backs want a brand-new deal. Source, the Raiders want the Giants to set the market with a Saquon Barkley deal. So essentially, McDaniels and Ziegler want to see what Brian Dable, what the Giants end up giving their star running back. Here's the thing. The Giants want to do the exact same thing. They have been waiting on the Raiders to set the market for Jacobs. And both running backs are coming off incredible seasons. I can make a legitimate argument that Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs and Derrick Henry are the best running backs in the National Football League as it stands right now. We know how great Josh has been, and we know how great Josh was last season. 12 rushing touchdowns, led the NFL, 1,653 yards, 340 carries, a true bell cow. In 2021, 9 rushing touchdowns. In 2020, 12 touchdowns. 2019, 7 rushing touchdowns. Josh Jacobs is a do-it-all back. Here's the thing, though. Saquon also had himself a hell of a season. 295 carries, 1,312 rushing yards, 10 rushing touchdowns, 57 grabs for 338 yards. But you know what also Saquon did? He played well in the playoffs. 18 carries, 114 yards, 2 touchdowns, 7 grabs for 77 yards. We can sit up here all we want to talk about running backs. You know what's not talked about enough? How a team looks and plays when their team makes the playoffs with a star running back. From a 2022 standpoint, or this is from a career standpoint, from a rushing stats standpoint, Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley from a career. Jacobs has the advantage. Rushing carries, the yards advantage from a yards per carry goes to Barkley. The first downs, though, is definitely Jacobs. Touchdown, also Jacobs. What's really cool about this metric, and Chugs, if you could add it, both of these players have played 60 games. Add it in the title. So both Jacobs and Saquon Barkley have played in exactly 60 games. Barkley's been in the league 1 year longer, but has had more injuries. So when you compare these numbers, I do think it's kind of intriguing, which is exactly why I did what I did here on today's show. But in today's NFL, it's not just about running between the tackles. It's also about catching the football. So here are the numbers from Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs from a receiving standpoint, both, again, of course, in 60 games. So you got Jacobs, who's been targeted 200 times. Saquon Barkley, who's been targeted 336 times. The receptions, Jacobs has actually had a better catch rate than Barkley. Barkley's been given more opportunities. Barkley has a higher yards per catch. He has more first downs. And Jacobs is weird, but yes, he's never had a receiving touchdown, where Saquon has 8. When I look, though, at running backs, I do obviously look at between the tackles, but yards are yards to me, right? So from a career standpoint, from touches, this is how these two guys stack up. Jacobs, more touches. However, Barkley has more yards from a touch standpoint. Barkley also averages more yards per touch from throughout his career, 4.8 to 5.1. But the number that really makes this different for me is first downs. where if I'm going to pay a running back the amount of money that Jacobs and Barkley are going to get, we can say that the NFL now is a pass-happy league, that running backs aren't the main focal point. But I want a bell cow that's able to extend drives. I want a bell cow that's able to pick up those tough first downs, that's able to pick up that 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, the goal-to-go situations. And Jacobs has shown throughout his career that he's had more success with that. So my question to the nation out there, and guess what? We're going to get a lot of New York Giants fans that come across this video as well, because it's an important topic for both teams. So my question to the nation and the Giants fans out there is, who's the better running back? And I don't want you to just answer this because, oh, I'm a Raider fan, I'm going to say Jacobs. Oh, I'm a Giant fan, I'm going to say Barkley. That's not how a good conversation goes. Let's have a legitimate conversation. We're adults. Type JJ for Josh Jacobs or type SB for Saquon Barkley. For me, the running back that I believe is the best, well, I'll tell you after I tell you about our awesome sponsor here, Manscaped. 20% off and free shipping with promo code Raiders. And today's show would not be possible if it wasn't for Manscaped saying, you know what? I like that guy, and I want his balls to be clean. My balls are 100% clean. My Ken Stabler looks an extra inch bigger. Why? I get rid of the bush down below. If you're looking for the best male grooming kit out there, use code Raiders at manscaped.com. Manscaped told me this. They said, hey, it is smooth sack summer. And I'm all about it. I love companies that have the similar mindset to me. And then when they also have incredible products, it's a win-win. I want you to get the ball toner. I want you to get the ball deodorant. If you put deodorant underneath your arms, think about how many areas of your body that you sweat that you don't use deodorant. Why is deodorant only underneath your arms? Put it on your ball sack too. On top of that, if you're trying to improve your beard game, if you're trying to improve your overall appearance, like Manscaped dominates from there on down. They also do a hell of a job from here on up. I think I have one of the best beards in the game. I'm not afraid to admit that. You know why? I use Manscaped products. Whether it's their beard hedger, whether it's their beard cream, because I'll admit, I get ingrown hairs pretty frequently. With Manscaped, it doesn't happen. Ultra Smooth Package is only $28 when you use promo code Raiders. If you missed out on a Father's Day gift for dad, if you're watching right now and you're like, honestly, my dad sent me a picture today of a t-shirt that I made him back in 1997 with a whole bunch of random shit on it. Dad, it's okay to tell me that was a shitty gift when I was 4 years old. And you're like, you know what? I deserve more than an old crappy t-shirt that my kid gave me. Get yourself something awesome for Father's Day. Manscaped.com. Use code Raiders. So who's the better running back? Josh Jacobs or Saquon Barkley? My honest-to-God opinion, okay, is it depends. And it depends on what type of offense you are trying to run. And that's 100% an okay answer. If you're going to be an NFL team and you're going to go out there and you're going to try to execute a run-first style of deal or a run-first style of offense, I'm going to take Josh Jacobs. Jacobs has been able to prove to y'all that he is the more healthy running back, that he is able to carry a larger load. Giggity. But if you're an NFL team and you want to really concentrate on the running the football aspect, I'm going to go that route. However, okay, I'm also going to go with Jacobs, and I'd be more willing to pay Jacobs because of the injuries to Saquon. For those that don't know, I grew up in central Pennsylvania. I am a Penn State guy. I love me some Saquon Barkley. I think from a talent standpoint, Barkley might be the best athlete at running back in the NFL. And I will say that. But this is about money. And I would rather invest my money, if I had that type of money, in a Josh Jacobs than Saquon Barkley. But again, if you're going to go with Jacobs for a run-heavy offense, I am going to go that route. If I want to look at more of a pass-happy offense, if I got a quarterback like a Patrick Mahomes, like a Josh Allen, like a Joe Burrow, a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, give me Saquon Barkley. His ability to catch the football is better. If I got a quarterback like a Jimmy Garoppolo, like a Derek Carr, a middle-of-the-tier QB, I'm going to go, Daniel Jones, I'm going to go with Josh Jacobs. So there's no doubt both backs are incredible. Both backs are no doubt top 5. I don't think that's disputable. I would make the argument both backs are top 3 next to Derrick Henry. And both running backs 100% deserve to get paid. The NFL is the only professional league out there that divvies up how much players get paid based on position. Doesn't happen in the MLB. Doesn't happen in the NBA. It only happens in the NFL. And when I see how much production both Barkley and how much production Jacobs have had, they deserve a lot more money than what they are going to get. However, that doesn't mean that they are going to get it. So coming up here on the Raiders Report, how much money could both Barkley and Josh Jacobs get? And then, which guy is going to end up signing the franchise tag first? Which team is going to end up saying, you know what? We need this guy, and they offer him that contract extension first. I'm going to tell you all of that information on today's show. So when you talk about both Jacobs and Barkley, you have to also set the field in terms of, all right, how much money are they looking for, and how much money have other running backs gotten? Because that's where the conversation always goes. If I'm an agent, I'm going to say, well, wait a minute. Christian McCaffrey, he got $30 million guaranteed at signing. Well, wait a minute. Derrick Henry, he got $25.5 million guaranteed at signing. Bijan Robinson, who hasn't even taken a freaking snap yet in the NFL, just got $22.8 million guaranteed at signing. If I'm an NFL head coach, I have to look at these numbers. If I'm a general manager like Ziegler, you're dumb not to look at these numbers. And if you're an agent, you are 100% looking at these numbers. And then you got to look at the highest paid running backs per year, because with both Barkley and Jacobs, the guaranteed at signing is important. And then it's the longevity of the contract. How much am I making per year? As it stands right now, here are the highest paid running backs per year in the National Football League. As you're going to see, Pollard, Barkley, Jacobs, all sitting over there on the franchise tag at $10.1 million. I think both Barkley and Jacobs are looking at what Alvin Kamara and Christian McCaffrey both got, and they're saying, that's what I want. If you're the Raiders and you're waiting on Saquon Barkley, well, here's the thing. Here's some rumors around Barkley's timeline. Apparently, he rejected a deal during the season where he would have got $12.5 million per year. Then, he rejected a deal after the season, apparently around $13 million per year. Another report came out that he rejected a deal before the franchise tag at $14 million per year. Here is what my Giants insider has continually told me, and if you have watched this show for a long time, you'll know that I have said the $15 million year number multiple times. That's what I am hearing Barkley's looking for. He wants $15 million a year. And from a guaranteed standpoint, he wants essentially double of what the franchise tag is. If he's looking at the franchise tag, he's like, why am I going to sign the franchise tag for 1 year? When, if you want, I'm willing to sign a contract extension at maybe a little bit of a cheaper price, but I want the guarantees at around more than 22.1. From what I understand, he's looking at $22.2 million in guaranteed money. So, 2 guaranteed franchise tag numbers. What I have given y'all for my Jacobs contract projection, and the OGs will know this, right here, 22.2. Why? It's double of the franchise tag. This continues to be the number that I hear from NFL GMs, NFL staff members, people that know the Saquon Barkley situation. And this is the contract extension that if Jacobs doesn't want to play on the tag, that I would offer him. And the reason why I do it is, all right, let's give you $8 million guaranteed in year 1. We're going to lower your cap hit this season. We can go out, try to ball out with Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler, add a little bit more defense. Then you're going to have a lot more money in 2024. You play really well in this season, that means you have an opportunity to make this number. If you don't give us the production that we're looking for, you're not going to make this figure here at 15.2 this upcoming season. These are the reasons why I show you the numbers that I show you. And per my Giants insider, the Giants and Barkley will get a deal done. He is extremely confident that the Giants will get a deal done with their star running back in Barkley. However, he literally told me, he's like, dude, it's not going to happen until July 16th or July 17th. And some of you are like, well, when do they have to get a deal done? You got to get a deal done by July 17th at 4 p.m. And if you're like, well, that's a little bit far-fetched. Here's the thing. If they went to that lengths with Barkley, who plays running back, which running back is a lot lower on the totem pole than quarterback. We can all agree on that, right? For a lot of NFL GMs and head coaches out there. I don't know if y'all remember this, but with Daniel Jones, which I'll tell you this right now, they drastically overpaid Daniel Jones. But they waited until 10 minutes before the deadline. 10 minutes before until he would have became a free agent. And that's when they gave him 4 years, $160 million. The Giants aren't afraid to play with deadlines. And from what I understand, they're going to do the exact same thing with Saquon Barkley. So, if the Raiders are truly waiting on Saquon Barkley's deal, then it's going to go all the way up to the July 17th deadline, which makes me sick to my stomach as a fan. As a content creator, selfishly, I'll tell y'all, that means I can talk about Josh Jacobs trade rumors. That means I can talk about Josh Jacobs extension, Josh Jacobs contract. Makes my job a lot easier in July. But I'll tell you this right now. I would rather my life be a lot more difficult in July. That way we can celebrate in September, October, November, December, hopefully January, and then for the love of God, hopefully February. But if this is the plan right now by the Raiders, I don't like it. You can't wait for Barkley because they're going to wait until the very final opportunity until that deal gets done. Now, this is what Josh McDaniels had to say on Josh Jacobs. The deadline for a long-term deal is not until July. I respect everything about that process. This is not the first time that's happened in terms of me being a part of that. Like I said, I stand by what I said before. Love the kid, love the player, love the person, look forward to when I see him. Now, he said that recently. This one goes back a few weeks ago where McDaniels talked about on keeping Josh Jacobs. The hope is, and that's the goal, that he's here for a while. We'll see how that all plays out. But again, Dave and Josh's representative have been in contact, and that's the goal. That's what we're working towards. If Josh McDaniels is being honest here, and if Dave Ziegler is being honest, and that their ultimate goal is to actually keep Josh Jacobs, number 8, in silver and black, repping the Raiders jersey this upcoming season, then they need to get their act together. Because if the goal for McDaniels is to keep Jacobs and extend him, I believe it's going to happen before the Giants have a deal with Barkley. From everybody that I talk to, it has to happen before the Giants and Barkley end up getting their deal done. And the biggest reason is I think the Giants want Barkley. Also, on top of that, I want Jacobs to play on the franchise tag. Like, do I think that Jacobs deserves more money? Unquestionably. And I think everybody watching the show right now believes that he deserves more money. He just had over 2,000 yards. He's the best running back in the NFL. You look at some of Christian Kirk's making $17 million. Why is Josh Jacobs making $10 million? You know what I mean? It's like bad position thing. However, from a Raider fan standpoint and from a what makes this team better standpoint, I want Jacobs to play on the franchise tag. And I also can't blame him for wanting more money after a career year. But let's get this thing straight. And I'm going to post this on IG, and I'm going to post this on Twitter as well. I believe the Giants are willing to pay Saquon Barkley more than the Raiders are willing to pay Josh Jacobs, which is why it's important for the Raiders to get a deal done with Jacobs first. When you think about how much of the investment that the Giants had in Barkley, taking him where they did, number 2 overall, compared to where the Raiders took Josh Jacobs at 24 overall, it's a lot different. Mark Davis compared to whoever the hell the Giants owner is right now, I can't think of his name. Marrow, sorry. You have both of those guys. They know, investment-wise, it's a lot more important to keep Barkley and to pay him a lot more. My biggest worry is that the Raiders wait for Barkley to get a deal done, and he's making $15 million a year, which he does. He deserves it. However, though, if Barkley's making 15, if I'm Jacobs on his camp, I'm like, I'm better than this guy. I want to make 15. Where the contrary is, if I'm the Raiders, right now I say, hey, the Giants are unwilling to give Barkley anything. Tony Pollard also on the franchise tag. He's going to play at 10.1. I'll make you a deal. I'll give you an extension at the deal I showed y'all earlier where he's making 12. And that's a good deal for Jacobs. That's a good deal for the Raiders. And then Barkley can go from there. If you wait for Barkley to get his deal done first, the Raiders are going to end up paying Josh Jacobs more. And what I'm really afraid of is Barkley gets 15. And then Jacobs asks for 16. They say no. All right, well, give me 15 like Barkley. Raiders say no. Well, I want 14. I'm worried the Raiders still say no. Because I don't see Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler, in their track record of paying running backs to go up to that high of a number. So then the number gets so damn low that Jacobs is like, well, wait a minute. I don't want to play for you guys. I want to get the hell out of here. To make sure that both parties are happy and to make sure that this Raiders team is successful, you need to get the Jacobs deal done before Saquon Barkley's deal ends up getting done. If you agree with a lot of the logic that I provided here on today's show, and if you enjoyed today's show, hey, the biggest thank you that you can ever give me, obviously, Super Chats go a long way. Obviously, liking the video goes a long way. Obviously, subscribing goes a long way. But if you agree with my thought process, here's the thing. I want you to share the video, and I want you to share it on Facebook. I want you to click the share button right now. I want you to select the Facebook icon, and I want you to click post to Facebook. Send it out there. I know a lot of people see the content that I provide on Twitter. I know a lot of people see the content I provide on IG, YouTube. Well, let's get Facebook caught up a little bit. So if you enjoyed today's show, if you made it this far, it would mean a lot to me. And honestly, if you agree with me, let's continue to keep this ship riding. Please, don't be afraid. Share this video on Facebook right now.